Free will has been described by many as the greatest gift God could give us. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't a greater gift be one that opens your eyes and makes you like God is beautiful and gives you pleasure and makes you wise? Which means that Satan gave us an even better gift than God gave us, especially since God's greatest gift has caused so much evil and destruction in the world. I think you get my point. The idea that free will is some sort of fabulous thing is preposterous. Why is there so much sin in the world when God could have just as easily created us in such a way that it would have been impossible for us to sin? It was not because he wanted to give us the gift of free will, but rather the plan from the beginning was to give us the gift of mercy. Something that would truly give us, all of us, Jew and Gentile, insight into the wisdom, knowledge, and glory of God in a way that we could understand that would last forever. The Qur'an is written in such a way that it appears that the writer is always referring to Muhammad as some other person rather than the writer himself. Although this makes sense in some respects since the Quran is revealed from heaven, it just seems weird because most people don't speak in the third person like that all the time. My book was revealed from heaven also, but at least I occasionally speak normally so that I'm not completely detached from what's being said. It's as if the compilers of the Quran purposely made it appear to come across that way in order to give more weight to what was being written. Allah is most merciful, therefore it's expected that his law should have elements of mercifulness in it in order to manifest his mercy to the believer. The Spirit of God, love, came on him, in him, and through him. He is the Son of God, and God the Son. Jesus is the true ark wherein dwells God's law, mercy, and authority. A prayer for God's mercy when you are faced with an impending hardship is similar to the prayer for strength to endure a hardship that is already upon you, in that they are both much more favorable to a healthy spiritual life than just hoping that the hardship be taken away. Demonizing the governments, economies, and religions of the world and free will is required so that the wheels in Ezekiel's vision can once again turn in a much more righteous direction. Which is a worse abomination? Immolating your child by fire or aborting your child. The end result is the same either way. a dead child, one that you have killed and sacrificed to the gods of death by your own hands. Should you get the death penalty for trying to kill someone, even if you're unsuccessful? I believe it would be appropriate in most cases. Killing someone and trying to kill someone is basically the same thing. I realize that broadening the definition of capital offenses to include attempted murder will increase the use of the death penalty. However, it's still nowhere near as bad as it was in the Old Testament days, when you could receive a death sentence for damn near any serious offense. A person who would have received the death sentence in the Old Testament days should be really appreciative that they are still alive. Therefore, expecting a lifetime of penance from them is reasonable. Most offenses mentioned in the Old Testament that required that a person be put to death can be satisfied simply by using the scriptures as stones that can be hurled at an offender until they realize that they are in a state of spiritual death due to their sin. It's interesting how those who are pro-death penalty are usually the same ones who are against abortion, and how those who are against the death penalty are usually the same ones who are pro-abortion. At least the Catholic Church is consistent, even if I do disagree with their near absolute bar against the use of the death sentence, even in cases where the life of another was taken. Believing in Jesus is required to be saved. However, what ultimately gets you into heaven is whether you do the works of your Father in heaven. Two other books I have written to help us take over the world and build the kingdom of God: New Qur'an, Judeo-Christian version, and the 77 Letters. The objective is to get a momentum started so that it creates a movement not to deceive but to enlighten. My objective is not money or power, it's success.